On a rainless string of islands off Peru, seabird droppings piled nearly 200 feet deep, and for a few decades, the world would pay a fortune for them. Off the coast of Peru lie the Chincha Islands, sitting in a uniquely rainless zone bathed by the cold Humboldt Current. For untold ages, seabirds gathered here in numbers beyond counting, and their droppings piled up, deep, layered, and undisturbed. On these islands, the deposits reached as deep as roughly 200 feet. Elsewhere in the world, rain would have washed away the value. But unlike most other Guano Islands, the lack of rain here preserved the nitrogen. And that single accident of climate made this guano uniquely potent. To the eye, it was a gray, crusted wasteland. To the chemistry of the 19th century, it was something else entirely. Before synthetic fertilizer existed, farmers in Europe and the United States faced exhausted soils and shrinking yields. Guano, rich in both nitrogen and phosphorus, could bring those tired fields back to life. The question hanging over the whole story is simple and unsettling. Part 1. White gold. How does the waste of seabirds become worth more than gold? And who pays the true price when it does? The answer began in a laboratory. In 1840, the German chemist Justus von Liebig reaffirmed guano's value in his work on organic chemistry. Science had confirmed what a few merchants already suspected. The rush was on. By 1841, the British firm Antony Gibbs Sons had formed a joint venture with the Peruvian government to extract it. British capital, Peruvian territory, and a mountain of bird droppings became one of the most lucrative arrangements of the era. The scale is hard to grasp. From 1840 to 1870, Peru exported roughly 12 million tons of guano, valued at about $500 million. Money on that scale poured into the young republic. A windfall so sudden, it seemed to promise a golden century. In 1861, Peru nationalized the Guano Islands, determined to control the source of its fortune. For a moment, a nation appeared to have found the impossible. Wealth simply lying on the ground, waiting to be scraped away. But wealth that easy always attracts others. Part 2. Contracts they could not read. And it always has to be dug out by someone's hands. The question was, whose? The hands belonged in overwhelming numbers to men who never chose this life. Between 1849 and 1874, roughly 100,000 Chinese men from Guangdong province were shipped to Peru, bound by contracts they could not read, to work the coastal Guano Islands and the sugar plantations. They arrived to labor in the choking dust of the deposits, breaking apart the very cliffs that made men rich a hemisphere away. Scholarship documents that these indentured laborers, often called coolies, faced the harshest conditions of all the workers on the Guano Islands. A contemporary British report is cited claiming extremely high mortality among them. Behind every ton of fertilizer that revived a distant farm was human suffering that left no monument. These were men with families, with homes in Guangdong, with lives interrupted by promises written in a language they had no way to verify. Their story is the counterweight to the export figures. The reminder that white gold was mined in conditions that consumed the people who mined it. The boom looked like a national triumph from the capital. From the islands, it looked like something much darker, and it was about to reshape the ambitions of a far larger power. Part 3. An empire built on droppings. The value of guano did not stay a Peruvian story. In the United States, farmers wanted the same soil-restoring power, and lawmakers found a way to chase it. On August 18, 1856, Congress enacted the Guano Islands Act. The law authorized U.S. citizens to take possession of unclaimed Guano Islands for the United States, and it empowered the president to protect those claims with military force. A statute about fertilizer had quietly become a statute about territory. The historian Daniel Immerwahr notes that the United States claimed nearly 100 uninhabited Guano Islands over the latter half of the 19th century. Expansions he describes as the nation's first reach beyond North America and into overseas territory. An itemized list still documents each of those claims. Think about what that means. A country's first steps toward an overseas empire were taken not for grand strategy or glory, but to secure bird droppings for its farms. The economics of soil had rewritten the map. But while one nation was quietly expanding, the country that had started it all was heading toward a reckoning. The golden century was not arriving. Something else was. Part 4. The fortune that vanished. $500 million had flowed into Peru. Where did it go? Not into lasting foundations. The windfall was borrowed against, spent, and mortgaged to foreign lenders. By the end of the boom in 1883, Peru was heavily indebted to British bankers, politically unstable, and, remarkably, held less territory than when it started. The nation that had discovered treasure lying on its own islands ended the era poorer in the ways that mattered most. This is the cruel arithmetic at the heart of the story, a resource so valuable it drew British financiers and inspired American law had passed through Peru and left debt in its place. And there was a deeper problem still. Guano was finite. The great deposits could be scraped away only so many times, and the world's hunger for fertilizer did not disappear when the islands emptied. Demand simply moved. It moved south and inland to another treasure buried in one of the driest places on Earth, the nitrate fields of the Atacama Desert. That shift from island droppings to desert nitrate would not be peaceful. Part 5. The war over the desert. It would become a war. The Atacama Desert was rich in nitrate, and its wealth was contested. The War of the Pacific grew from a dispute between Chile and Bolivia over that nitrate-rich land. The spark came when Bolivia tried to raise taxes on the Chilean Antofagasta Nitrate Company. In response, Chile occupied Antofagasta on February 14, 1879. That move pulled Bolivia and its secret ally, Peru, into war with Chile. The fertilizer economy had shifted from bird droppings to desert salts, and the fighting followed the money. When the war ended, the map of South America was permanently redrawn. Chile took almost 50,000 square miles of Bolivian territory, including its roughly 250-mile Pacific coastline. Bolivia formally accepted the loss in the 1904 peace treaty in exchange for a promise of commercial port access. Peru's own territorial losses to Chile were settled separately under the Treaty of Ancon in 1883. The same year Peru's Guano era closed in debt and instability. A story that began with seabirds on rainless islands ended with a landlocked nation and borders scarred by conflict. But the grievance did not end with the treaties. Part 6. A grievance still alive. More than a century later, Bolivia has never stopped mourning the sea it lost. The country still marks its severed coastline as a national wound, and it pursued the question all the way to the world's highest court. In 2018, the International Court of Justice ruled that Chile is not obligated to negotiate giving Bolivia sovereign access to the sea. The dispute that began over fertilizer remains unresolved in the 21st century. Step back and consider the chain. A uniquely rainless climate preserved the nitrogen in seabird droppings. A German chemist confirmed their value. British capital financed their extraction. Tens of thousands of Chinese laborers bore the cost in their bodies, and an American law turned fertilizer into the seed of an overseas empire. Peru grew rich and then poor. Bolivia lost its coast, and a court in the present day still weighs the consequences. The message is not delivered in a slogan, it is written into the events themselves. Resources that seem like effortless fortune rarely stay that way. The value passes through, the human cost stays, and the borders and the grievances remain. All of it, from the humble waste of birds on islands that never saw rain. This story touches on exploitation, coerced labor, and lasting loss. If any of it weighs on you, please reach out to a trusted person or a local support service. Help is available, and you do not have to carry it alone.